Check, check.
Can you see what's on your head?
Do I have a bow?
It's
Four-leaf
like
clover?
it's a little clover with two leaves,
Nice.
and you have like makeup or like cat scratches under your eyes.
That's great. That's going to help our YouTube numbers shoot through the moon, especially on Valentine's Day.
Is she now doing this intentionally to you?
I don't think so. I think she has French over Zoom and she uses my computer and she is not learning. Her French is not progressing. And I think this is precisely why. I think she sits and makes her Zoom face while saying oui to the teacher.
Is Was it her interest to do French, or did you guys impose that on her?
Well, it's a great conversation to have. You as a parent of a son, I always wanted, like, really thought hard and long about wanting to make sure that my kid was at least had two languages, right? Because I feel this is a gift that parents can give to a child. Like you do enough work, you create the environment, you figure it out how to have at least a bilingual kid in this world. Uh, and I failed miserably, but I had her in Japanese real early because her bestie from, or still her bestie, I guess, is Japanese, and thought, oh, this will be great. Japanese. And that kind of plodded along, once a week apparently is not enough to learn fluent Japanese. And so then once ballet really kicked off, I was like, oh, she's basically speaking French, all the moves and whatnot are all French. So let's just do French. And her other bestie is French or a French speaker. So forced it and she hates it.
Bummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is the grit. It's February 14th, Valentine's Day 2025. Hopefully everybody is locked and loaded.
Snuggled up under a weighted blanket, charcuterie board on lap, just eating that sweaty meat.
Do you have flowers downstairs and chocolate ready to roll?
No, the wife is out of town, which, yeah, which is a real Valentine's bonus, I'm going to say, because we did like a Valentine's Day date nighty dinner thing, whatever, before oysters and whatnot, before she left. And then, so now I just get to wake up and text her, Happy Valentine's Day.
You gonna write a poem?
I should write a poem. I mean, I woke up with the weight of, do I have to do the Instagram thing? Like my Instagram has become so not that, but then I realize, but again, it's the age old conversation we've had is what do you do? And if you
Yeah.
don't do it, you shouldn't do it. It's an embarrassing look, but it's culturally demanded. No?
It was last year. Things
Yeah.
change quickly around here, and I feel like maybe this year it isn't demanded of us any longer.
Okay, so if you don't post a this woman shows up every day, dot, 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 happy Valentine's. Uh, she won't have her feelings a tiny bit hurt.
I can speak for myself and say no. I will
Are you
like
sure?
no offense this year.
Are you positive? Because people say things with
Well,
their
yeah.
mouths, they don't feel with their hearts.
I cannot be 100% positive, but I feel pretty confident. I can get off scot-free this year by not doing that. My wife would not care at all.
So here's the issue at hand though. You feel pretty confident, right?
Hmm.
Is that pretty in the confident? Is the qualifier to your confidence worth not doing it, right? Because what do you get out? The thing you get out of doing it is maybe you look a little bit publicly foolish or off brand or something, right?
Sure.
The thing you potentially miss by not doing it, or like the harm you cause by not doing it, is hurt feelings that you just
There's
didn't
there's an
pick
additional
up on.
thing going on here. Is it's becoming undignified to live your life on full display. And
Yes,
so I think that my wife recognizes the not doing it actually is a gift. And there's
more
kind of,
love.
yeah, exactly. There's more love. Like this isn't performative. What we have is more special than trotting it out in front of people and being performative. So I do think that there's something to lose by doing it, and that is
Okay.
dignity.
And I guess you can always fall back on if there are hurt feelings, you can always say, hey, look, man, Mark Zuckerberg's gone too far. He's gone too far at this point, and we all have to take a step back. So you can the everyone loves the moral stance
Exactly.
when it comes to matters of the heart.
I love throwing Mark Zuckerberg into our romantic chats.
It's
Um,
perfect.
the other thing is we're 43 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where the dignity comes in is we're grown people with full lives and rich lives and real things going on. If me posting this on Instagram has any weight for you or me, then our priorities are mixed up at this point. Let's have a bigger conversation.
Okay, when you are scrolling and you see today, there's going to be a lot of them, right? There's going to be your feed will be full of tributes to spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, etc. Do you think, oh, you little, poor little people just playing this silly algorithm game? Or do you stop and read and think, oh, well, I'm so happy that CJ Hobgood and his wife are in such a loving relationship?
Um, I
Not that
don't
CJ is a poster, but I bet CJ, I feel that CJ is a Valentine's Day poster.
I don't feel a judgment towards somebody else doing it because
To
there are
CJ, let's speak to CJ Hobgood here. Do you feel
I
judgment for CJ Hobgood?
definitely not. No. But somebody like, let's say Jack Robinson,
Yeah,
that I feel like is done out of obligation. Like he and his wife live a public life. CJ has no skin in the game at this point. Like he's not trying to build a social media profile or whatever. Like Jack Robinson, if he does it, it almost has zero romantic value for
part of the
his
brand.
wife because it's just part of what you're supposed to do. You know, like he's just doing it to service his social profile, essentially, not for her. So that I wouldn't even say I feel judgmental towards that because I understand the game. But if he didn't post, I also wouldn't judge that. I wouldn't read into that at all, you know? So
So what I hear you saying is you're going to be relatively judgment free as you scroll this Valentine's Day.
for sure, I think so.
You won't,
There could be a
that's going to creep right in. You're going to see one. You're going to
there
see
could yeah,
a
there could be
tribute
a
and you'll
version of
think,
something
ooh,
or the way that it's worded or something like that where I feel like this person is protesting a bit too much. Marriage is on the rocks, you know?
CJ Hobgood. You heard it here first. Your
Now,
marriage
now,
is on the rocks.
now I'm thinking about it. I might drop a few stories for her.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Okay, so here's the thing though. If you drop a story, aren't you uh trying to play have cake, eat it too? But in reality, you're doing the worst of both worlds.
Could
You're
be.
lazily and not permanently still engaging.
Maybe. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't even have time to drop those stories. Like I have to look through my camera roll, find the right photo. She's not going to like that photo. I like that photo, but she's not going to like that photo, so I'm not going to post that. Like there is a lot of work involved in it, but I do think uh I guess what I mean is when I'm scrolling through those photos and I see something and there's a thought of me in me that goes, the world should see this. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a great photo of my wife. The world should see this. My parents should see this, you know? And so that's where I think the stories come into play. But make no mistake, posting on the main feed is like a statement. It is doing something now. And for reasons I've already stated, I don't feel a need to make that statement publicly, but I do feel a need sometimes to share what I find beautiful with other people.
Is she going to post to you? Is she going to say to the man who holds it all together, to my rock, to the leader of our household, etc., etc.?
She is cut from a cheesier cloth that definitely she like in general likes doing that. Like she's still on Facebook and
Yeah.
engaging on Facebook, you know, and like posting happy birthday for people on their Facebook page and stuff like that. So she still does play in that world a little bit, but I'm wondering now if she's developed the same thought that I just shared, which was last year, yes, this year, no. I think she's
Okay.
kind of grown out of it too, to a certain degree.
Well, we might have to revisit this whole, we definitely will have to revisit this whole bit on Noble Rot this Monday with a little bit of hindsight. We can
Yeah,
see
well,
if your Valentine's Day decisions, what you did and didn't do, worked out.
so another thing that we'll keep tabs on is I got her a gift, and I don't think she got me a gift.
Okay. We're gonna see how this plays as well.
So I think that for there was a couple little indicators. Like I think Valentine snuck up on her. She's been
Yeah.
super busy. I've been tracking her moves. I've noticed she hasn't made any overtures or no special trips to the store or anything like that. And I secretly got something. It showed up, and she usually grabs things off the porch. This one she didn't. I happen to see first, so I stashed it, and I know she didn't see me stash it. So she's probably been keeping tabs to see if I got her something, and she didn't track that I did. So now I've got that stashed. Last night we went to a Valentine's dinner together before Valentine's Day. She didn't bring a gift. I intentionally didn't bring my gift. And now I'm going to give it to her at the last possible minute. Because the worst thing is, I didn't want to wake up and give it to her this morning. Then she makes a run out today, midday, gets a gift just so she can be on par. So I'm going to wait till the last minute, give her the gift, watch her eyes go wide and go, oh no, I thought we weren't doing this.
I love, okay, we're gonna also then for sure discuss how vindictive gift giving plays on Valentine's Day. How giving a gift to somebody just to basically make them feel bad that they, and giving them no time to react, make them feel bad that they didn't do something, and sorry, too late.
So I'm going to film the reaction and that will become the main post.
Perfect.
This is sabotage. Valentine's Day sabotage is the new going
Yeah.
viral this year.
Oh man, that would be better than Valentine's Day, to be quite frank, is how can you shame or wound the love of your life by giving them something?
How do you prove you're a better partner?
Yeah.
And that's the game we're gonna play this year. The truth of the matter is, I don't want her to get me anything.
Yeah.
I don't need anything. Don't
Yeah.
spend the money. I don't want it. And so I'm okay. In this scenario where I am the better partner, I actually I'm okay not receiving a gift, you know.
Okay. I mean the gift for you, I guess, that she's giving you is that you are the better partner.
Yeah, and I get to feel good about that.
Exactly. That's a pretty good gift.
She does more cleaning, she does more organization, she does more planning and preparation for our lives to run seamlessly, but
That
I
one
gave you those
day.
pajamas
Oh, can
also
I
that you didn't need.
put pause real quick? I gotta go turn the heat
Yeah.
off. This house is
Yep.
cooking. Okay.
Go. All right, we're back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Give me a chance to get hydration.
Sweet.
Um,
AG1.com/surf.
Thank you, AG1. Drink
Yeah.
ag1.com/surf. Also, follow up last week's Power Couples Hollywood/surfing edition. Some new submissions came in that I had neglected to point out. One Yancey Spencer and Kathy Lee Gifford.
Wow. When did this happen?
Um, before he
Frank?
met before he met Sterling's mom, I believe. And
Okay.
somebody DM'd it to me, and then I realized, oh my gosh, Sterling told me this story on air, and I just can't fully remember the details, but I'm almost certain it was his dad dating Kathy Lee Gifford before he met his mom.
Did you have an opinion one way or the other when Kathy Lee and Frank Gifford got married?
No, I was too young to know or
Hmm.
care.
You didn't watch Good Day or whatever it was called with Regis and Kathy?
I mean, I was aware of it, but no, I definitely was not. I was watching Sesame Street at the time.
Regis, I mean, Kathy Lee and Frank Gifford, I think, were one of those first ones that like blew open my mind in terms of, whoa, he's like way older than her. But
Oh,
in
really?
reality, yeah, let's see what it was. Because I remember being shocked by, let's see, how much older. It's going to take me too long. Frank Gifford. People are going to like this on the pod. This is going to be great. Me slowly Googling for information.
Of people who are
Kathy
now passed because they're so old, like it's not even a
Lee.
timeline.
Yeah, Frank has been gone forever. Frank Evers, there was a 23-year age gap. So 23 years is solid, right? But I feel,
Significant.
yeah, but look at Frank or Bill Belichick and Jordan, whatever. I think that's a
Yeah.
49-year age gap. So
Yeah.
there we go.
So that was a noteworthy one. The thing is, Kathy Lee Gifford, I don't think was famous at that time, so it doesn't really have the same impact.
She wasn't even Kathy Lee Gifford. She was just
That's right.
Kathy Lee.
Yeah, that's
From
right. So
from
the one that I thought was a bit more surprising that I almost entirely forgot was Ramsey Bukaim and Rihanna.
when was this? Oh, I vaguely recall this too. They were in Morocco or something, right?
Yeah, I so there was I don't know that they actually dated, but there was an image that got circulated where they were in a hot tub together.
I mean, you know what other images circulated of and some rumors percolating with one Rihanna and Rothman, Makua.
Makua?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't
Yep.
know that.
Yep. You can, that's even Googleable, I think. I think you can pull that one up in the search. I think there was
So
some smoke.
so it must be that she was getting into surfing or something, right? Like what would
Yeah,
she be doing with Ramsey other than maybe getting surf lessons?
I think so. I think Rihanna had a surf dip before ASAP Rocky and then realized after Ramsey maybe and Makua Rothman that she was going to go to the hip hop waters instead.
Hmm, interesting.
The rap well.
There you go. There's some more fodder for you for the power couples. And of course, the most important of all, John Brooks and Holly Beck.
That's so true. How did we forget that one? How did we forget the co-founder of the Florida Surf Film Festival and one of the greatest women surfers of all time?
Got him on the phone, or we ended up on the phone earlier this week, and he goes, "Man, I was listening to your show. How did we get left out of that
Yeah.
conversation?" I'm like,
Yep.
"Bro,
Sorry.
I thought you were keeping it on the down low. I don't know." And he's like, "No, shout it. Tell everybody. Tell everybody."
Is John Brooks going to be throwing up a big old Valentine's Day hard post today?
Ooh, guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's going on the grid, the main grid.
What? Okay. You and I should both simply repost on the main grid John Brooks's Valentine uh celebration of Holly Beck.
You got to love a man who's
Yeah,
proud of his partner.
he's so
Um,
good.
so yeah, we will repost. I'm guessing it's going to be a full carousel, 20 photos, sunsets, handholds, POV, dinners together, like all of it.
So the hard part for them, I would, or for John, I would imagine, is going to be curating the surf shots he wants in there because there will be all of that, plus there will be one of Holly getting barreled. And so do you do Holly barreled, John barreled? Do you do Holly doing a big old top turn, John barreled? Do you do John doing a flicky snap, Holly doing a big cutback? Like, what do you do?
He's going GoPro footage of them riding a wave together and probably holding hands on that wave.
But he's not going to do any high performance because both of them surf well better than the average, right? Hollybeck, obviously, but John Brooks is no slouch, a stone cold shredder. So he's going to want to also, John Brooks is not shy about
Yeah.
showcasing how good a surfer he is, too. He
Okay.
loves a surf and selfie, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are they? I'm going to say he's going to go Holly Barrel. John's own is going to be like a pullback. Oh, maybe he won't post one of himself. Maybe he'll just leave it to Holly.
I think that's the move for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
He'll save that for tomorrow's post
Yeah.
of himself shredding. All right, good. Well, good. Hope you guys all have secured your gifts and you still have time to go get a card and write in it. Use your own handwriting to write something sweet. Don't just rely on the cards
Oh,
messaging to do the messaging for you. Worst case scenario, maybe you're not great with words. Worst case scenario, buy two cards and take whatever this card says, write it into that card in your own writing, and throw that first card away so it at least looks like you came up with something.
really smart advice. And if you're short on change, just take your pen into the store, grab your card, find a card that you like what it says, write that in the blank card, and then buy it. And so that way, yeah, you don't even have to buy another card.
Cards are way too expensive.
So expensive. The card cartel is just got us all by the throat.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Back in my day, it was $3.99. Now they're like 10
399.
bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, exciting news. Tuesday, Natural Selection premieres at the Rivian Theater in Newport Beach, California, maybe Laguna Beach, California, actually. Are you going to the premiere?
I don't know. What time is it? Tuesday
I have no idea. It's
or
Tuesday, yeah. I don't know what
Tuesday?
time.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I'm sure it will be a fine time. Is it a ticketed event?
Uh, I I don't know if it's even open to the public. Do you know that?
Oh, I don't know either. If it's at the
Okay.
Rivian Center, I'd imagine it would be, right? Oh, I'm gonna get some. I've been really, really not good on my natural selection stuff.
I know.
I think I hear so much about it like daily, that not that it's boring to me, and I'm not saying that at all. It's great and exciting, but it's just like constant. And so then I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to think about it anymore.
Yeah. Well, it will be premiering. I think they actually slated the 18th for the release of the film as well.
Yes, that's what it
So,
is.
so it's the same day. I think premieres that day in person if you are able to go to the screening, and then it'll be available for all of us to watch online. So prepare for that. It looks like it's going to be amazing. Moving on from that, though, I've got a contest streaming on my phone while we were podcasting right now. It is a nighttime session in Abu Dhabi is running live.
Just
Um,
like an expression session.
no, no, no. It's the actual event.
They're running heats right now.
Yeah. So it's been on since before I went to bed last night. They ran all of the opening round of the men's in the daytime. And then whoever won that opening round, they had it kind of structured in four people surf in a group. And whoever won that round leapfrogs into the round of 16. And then
Wait,
everybody else has to surf off in the dark, basically, in a
how's
nighttime
this
session.
live? Okay, I gotta get a live. Look it, I'm gonna beach
You want
grit
to take another
and do
break
this.
and go get the beach grit post updated?
Uh, I think I can do it while we're chatting if you have some more things to talk about.
Well, let me give you time to do that. We'll come back so that you're fully engaged in the
Okay,
conversation.
well, it'll take me 2 seconds.
No, go for it.
What round is it?
Again, it's not the normal structure. This is just called the nighttime round. So all the men surfed, and then losers from that session are now in the nighttime session.
Is it awful?
Wait until you're back engaged, and then we'll discuss that.
Uh, can I ride as my lead? It sucks just as bad at dark.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's terrible to answer your question.
I mean, I watched yesterday. Yeah, I'll wait. I'll hold it.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, I was shocked at how shit it was. Sir, how long has this thing been going on?
The nighttime session,
Yeah.
it's been on for let's say 2 hours.
Okay. How much more time you think they got on
I have no idea, dude. It's such a Frankenstein event. Like, I have no idea what's happening.
Now going to the air. That's basically what he did. And
it?
then you still have
Okay, hold on. Almost done here. Almost done. You got to go look at the picture when it publishes. Go to beachgrit.com.
Is it ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going right now. Hilarious. You're fast.
But also, do you see you in the corner?
I do. I look so bored. You captured it perfectly. Perfect timing. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Are we
it's a
getting into
perfect
it?
reflection of how I feel about it.
Are we getting into the Abu Dhabi
So
Pro right now?
we're getting into it. My opening question to you to kick off the Abu Dhabi Pro is, have you ever been angry watching a surf contest?
Uh, yep. Last night, I think I probably had some anger watching Kelly's uh the Surf Ranch Pro at some point, probably year three, probably year one. I was like, the novelty was okay, but then it wore off. But the novelty wears off so quick. But I wasn't angry. Probably by the third time they tried to roll that around, I was sort of angry. And this one, like I tuned in for like four waves last night and was filled with such angst and hatred that I had to turn it off because it was affecting. I was going to like physically abuse my daughter.
That's why I worded it that way. That's how I
Yeah,
felt.
yeah,
We got back from our Valentine dinner, and somebody messaged me something that indicated the event was on, and I was like, oh, shoot. So I pull up my phone and I watch, and guess who's paddling out or surfing? Baron Mamiya. And I
yeah.
was like,
I saw
oh,
this, caught the same exact moment.
so I go, oh, sick. And what I witnessed was so shameful that I was angry. And what it was Baron achieved superhero status last week. He conquered what literally three people on the planet could conquer in Mother Nature. It was incredible. He ascended to this level of superhero status, and now I'm watching him nurse turns. I'm watching him subjugate himself to holding back his power, to nursing turns that any NSSA surfer could do right now. That's what Barron was subjugating himself down to do. And then contort himself into the tiniest tiny position to try to get this tiny little fluffy barrel that wouldn't even register on Pipe's Richter scale. It was offensive to me. I saw, and then Barron didn't complete what he was doing because, of course, he's just like, again, subjugating himself down to this lowest common denominator. So he didn't complete it and he looked disappointed. And I was like, Barron, don't feel disappointed. You should never be here in the first place. This is absurd that you're even doing this and playing down to these rules. This is embarrassing. Please exit the water, book a flight, get out of here. Pipeline is pumping today. Go do that.
It was shocking to me that they've had this much time and this much money, and they made what, for all intents and purposes that I could tell, was a slightly worse version of Surf Ranch. It wasn't a better version. The left didn't barrel when I was watching it. The left was like chewed by the wind and wouldn't barrel.
It was
Uh,
windy. Yeah, that was the other problem is that they didn't anticipate the wind.
no, they didn't have, and so they built the pool in a direction for that wind to wreck the left, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like I was shocked that the thing didn't progress. It was more boring. It was everything was worse. Everything was worse from the everybody talking about the event. I mean, I love Paul Evans, but hearing him try to manufacture excitement for the tedium that was on screen, from the interviewing or the coach, like the obligatory coach talking to surfer in between, uh after each wave, the surfers, there was absolutely zero differentiation between what they were doing. You can't surf that way another way. So it's either if you're going to make the end section, I guess, or not. But other than that, it's
So
same turns, the same crouch, the same everything.
to that exact point, the biggest problem is that there's no big sections. There's any given section, of which there are eight, has a mediocre potential.
Yeah.
Its fullest potential is mediocre. So the barrel itself, it's not big, it's not girthy, it's not consequential, and also it's guaranteed. So
Yeah.
there's zero
And
excitement there.
you know when it's going to hit. It's guaranteed in
Exactly.
the same spot every time.
So by the end of the ride, the only real question is, will they land a fin-free maneuver on that last section? But that section isn't big either. So that maneuver is only going to be mediocre at best. So you have this entire ride that's going to be mediocre. That's
I
it.
ha I haven't done the Waco pool or any of those ones, but I would imagine at least a contest there. There's kind of some differential
Yeah.
stuff that happens in the water,
Yeah.
right? You kind of don't know necessarily what's going to happen. Knowing exactly, like, it made me like hate surfing yesterday, or hate that kind of surfing. That I get how, I mean, I've surfed Surf Ranch. I get that it is fun and whatever to actually surf it. To watch it is a torture. I mean, I wrote this morning, I don't think there's any sporting spectacle worse than World Surf League in a tank, or in specifically a Kelly tank.
I got upset. Literally last night, I got upset. I only watched a few waves and I was like, I had the exact same thought you did, which was 5 years ago, we realized this was boring. There was a unanimous
Yeah.
consensus, not one dissenting voice, unanimous. This is boring for professional surfing. And then leading into this event, I heard Joe Turpel and other commentators saying, this pool is different than Surf Ranch. The pacing is different. There's more critical sections, blah, blah, blah. They had a bunch of stuff and it piqued my curiosity a little bit. So when
Sure.
I
They had a
finally,
bunch of time. I mean, Surf Ranch opened what, a decade ago. So they had a decade and oil money to take what they had and figure out, okay, this is where it's wrong and this is how we can make it more dynamic.
but then when I tuned in last night and saw
Nothing.
it was the exact same boring thing, I felt indignant that they were cramming this down our throat further. And like I said, it happened to culminate or happen when Baron Mamiya did
Yeah.
what he did. And that's where it really came to a point to me where I was like, you guys, this guy became a superhero last week. He is your star. He's wearing a yellow jersey, and now you're down here. And so, to your point too about the commentators, I feel like the WSL actually gave them a missive to use the word pressure or to focus on the
Yeah.
pressure because we all feel that pressure, right? Well, the problem is last week at Pipeline, we actually saw real pressure. That we saw people putting their life on the line. And so the pressure in Abu Dhabi that they're trying to manufacture is akin to the pressure that Mark Zuckerberg must have felt when his college professor said, "You might not graduate if you keep playing computer games." You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And he looked at him and was like, "I'm sitting in a pool nursing these NSSA turns when I've got $1 billion valuation available for me in the ocean. There's
I
no
mean,
pressure here."
the uh the problem also is that pressure, even if the surfer in the water is feeling pressure, that pressure absolutely does not translate to the viewer at home. You don't look at that mechanical churn, that guaranteed, you know, perfect in air quotes, shoulder high wave, and think, oh, I get it. I get how this guy's nervous. I get how he's nervous because there's a soft, mushy thing in front of him, and it's scary, a little scary.
It's totally dead, like
I mean,
lost on, falls on dead ears.
I mean, I
No matter
think
how
that
many times they say it in the commentary booth.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think, PR will PR and spin will spin and all this, but I think that, in general, people aren't idiots. And I would have to think that I don't know how this goes again, to be quite frank. I mean, what I saw, unless I missed something, but I went through the Beach Grit comments too, just to see what the tone was. I didn't see one person even kind of remotely interested in the action.
Nobody was interested before the event either. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. I've talked to a number of people this week, and it's like everybody's like, why are they, what's going on? Why are they doing that? And then to see the way that it's executed and delivered is an abomination. So, um, now, all that being said, we didn't discuss the pipe event that finished since we last recorded. It ran 2 days in phenomenal surf, and I want to know if that softened your calloused heart.
Sure. I mean, that finals day, even though the waves were clearly, it was the day before that it ran in epic surf. Yeah. But there was
Yeah.
still amazing surf, I thought, on for finals day, or there was
Yeah.
really interesting waves. There was interesting things happening,
Great surf. Yeah.
and how the each surfer, whoever it was in the lineup, how they were going to navigate what was on offer. The multiple storylines. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great day of surfing. I watched the entire think, yeah, Derek hit me up in this morning. Derek usually writes the rap, and Derek hit me up in the morning and said, "Ooh, going to an MMA event. Sorry, can you
So
wrap
you
it?"
had to write it.
But yes, but then I felt for some, I thought, okay, well, I actually have an excuse now just to sit here for the entire day and watch this thing, and I did, and enjoyed it.
Totally wrapped. I put it on the big screen. I was super into all of it. There was phenomenal exchanges or, battles, buzzer beaters, all of it. It was incredible. I
I,
loved the event and I loved that seeing Baron's artistry was kind of a validating of that's what surfing should be. Like I feel like Leo's the ultimate tactician, and that's even what Ross kept stating about him. He's a phenomenal surfer too, but seeing kind of the tactician get his way into the finals, but artistry reigns supreme. When you have somebody that is that dialed at a given spot, um, it's just a thing of beauty.
I mean, I love the controversy at the end as well, right? I mean, that kept people talking for days after of did Leonardo get the score or not, which was, I mean, WSL, of course, screws up. And I think JP Curry always asks, like, in professional football, basketball, I think even baseball, most, or at least the big American major league sports, the referees will, there's a statement that comes out about what was called and why at the end of each game, and whether they got it right or wrong or whatever. WSL should fully do this. Like, I think the big question that people had that will go unanswered and just slot into WSL incompetence is why did those three scores for Leonardo get locked in so quick? And then the next score take forever that brought what he needed just under Barron, right? Which is, I
Yeah.
think, a valid wonder. And the WSL could easily answer. They could say, oh, this judge, whatever. I don't know what
Yeah,
they
I think for the record, the judges got it correct. If you go back and watch Barron's two waves, I think Barron's waves were better. He was going full speed in takeoff critical and then go full speed to make it through the waves. Leo's he was stalling to get the
Yes.
score to get the barrel. So that alone, I think, is an indicator. But to your point, there is a question mark of why it takes so long, and I think that could all be resolved if I had clarity that the judges did not know what score the surfer needs.
Sure. Completely. If they didn't know and if they were in their own box and there was no head judge, the idea of a head judge is just bizarre to begin with. I've
Yeah.
read why that exists multiple times, and it doesn't make any sense how you're going to get people on the same page. I get the idea of a head judge who gives the talk before to the judges, who is like, today, this is what's on offer. This is kind of what we're looking for. And then you guys all go into your soundproof box and punch in the score that you think. You don't see next guy's score. But I'm perpetually, and I've talked about this a lot, and nobody's explained to me to this day why you cannot score the heat after the heat is done. It'd be like if they were scoring boxing as it was going, right? You see what the people think they're going to get, but the actual judge's scorecard lands at the end of the match, not at the end of the round, at least for the viewers, where I don't know why you can't watch that whole heat. Judges making notes at the end of the heat, take 4 minutes to go watch the waves side by side, and
Yeah.
then actually make it basically fair at that point. Like,
Well,
because
it's a lot more fair.
when they blow out the scale early, or and then have to bring it back down, you're left more times than not, I feel, with the exact situation that we were left with, which Barron, I thought, was the better surfer all event, of course, was the better surfer through the finals, of course, but uh Fioravante's last wave, I feel, was underscored and got
Well,
ripped off, and he should have accidentally won the final. I think Leonardo should have, even though he didn't surf better.
the reason why they should implement what you're talking about, do the scoring after the fact, is what almost happened in that heat was people got excited by the comeback story and almost overscored Leonardo's final wave.
Yeah,
And I think Ross Williams even got caught up in that because Ross said, I think that's the best wave of the heat. But
for sure.
when you see Leo come out of combo and get the first score, and then he paddles back out and he's in position and he's getting a wave's coming to him, it's hard not to get caught up in that excitement. And so you almost want to give him the score. And I was impressed to see the judges not fall victim to that. But you're right. If you just take the 30 minutes, have a breather after the fact, and then just, even if you scrambled those waves of like, I'm going to view the last wave first or the
Completely.
second wave third or whatever it is, and just whose two rides were the better two rides, that would be a much more objective way to do the scoring.
I mean, you could have an editor, everybody knows, pulling out the clips of, okay, this is Leo's best. This is, best two rides. This is Leo's best. This is Barron's best. It would take them 4 minutes to watch those, four rides and figure out exactly, okay, who's, this is, or yeah, with way better accuracy at least. And then they should deliver a reason why, right? They could say, Barron won because he was racing, he wasn't stalling, he was deeper, whatever they want to say.
Yeah. Um, who other than WSL could come off of the height of pipeline and in less than a week shoot themselves in the foot?
I mean, it's so like they should have known. It's funny. I read before, I think this morning actually, I read uh the Reuters take on or just the whatever, the basic wire news story of the Surf Abu Dhabi Pro is running, and it gave a little history, but ended with the World Surf League has held two or whatever held contests at Kelly's at Surf Ranch in Lemoore, uh, to mixed reactions or something like that, where even the mainstream boring press, the surf fan is so uh bored and angry about these events that it even registers in mainstream media, dude, who's just trying to get the story copy done. But he can't
Yeah.
help but Google it or search it or study it and find a lot of hatred about it. And so then he's got to go in, oh, they do this, I guess, but I guess people don't, or I guess mix. Some people don't
Yeah.
like it.
Pretty funny. Well, I mentioned it. Massive. I mean, it seems like the swell of the year hitting the North Shore right now. So in surf news, Mason Ho, there's been a couple of big injuries at Pipe in the last 24 hours. Mason Ho got cheese grated on his face across the reef at Pipe. Um, there's Brian Bielman posted a photo of that, which is pretty gruesome. Uh, Emio Cermak from, I believe, Tahiti broke his back apparently yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, that's his second injury at Pipe in 2 years because I remember reporting last year that he uh, was competing. I want to say it was in the Pipe Masters, the Vans Pipe Masters, and got injured. And then um, would set up a GoFundMe because he didn't have travel insurance. The
I
story was
remember
he didn't
that.
have travel
I
insurance
remember.
and he wasn't going to be able to fly out of Hawaii until his bill was paid at Queens.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, ouch.
Yeah.
Man.
And so I don't remember how that story ended. Apparently ended up fine or, was able to pay the bill and get out of Hawaii at some point last year. But late breaking news is that he got injured yesterday and potentially broke his back. And then the other one is Lucas Godfrey, who I'll read from his GoFundMe, which is set up and has, I think, amassed $39,000 last I checked. But it said, after the pipe pro had finished, Lucas paddled out and charged a bomb at back door. He pulled into a heavy barrel but was unable to find the exit. As he fell, he was sucked over the falls and slammed into the reef while in a seated position, feeling the full force of the wave crashing down on him. In that moment, he heard a loud pop, the devastating sound of his spinal cord compressing.
Oh,
Despite being in immense pain, Lucas fought his way to the surface and then took more waves on the head. Thankfully, fellow North Shore lifeguards rushed to his aid, assisting in what would have been a life-threatening situation. Lucas was rushed to Queens Hospital and diagnosed with an acute L1 burst type compression fracture, a severe spinal cord injury requiring extensive medical care and rehabilitation. Doctors are closely monitoring his condition, and surgery may be needed to stabilize his spine and ensure the best path of recovery.
ouch. I saw the clip of that wave. It's just insane to me. Like it looked like any other get in and you miss the sector or whatever, it closes out on you.
Yeah, it was just a
Where
closeout barrel.
yeah, it didn't look, I mean, it didn't look any bigger or crazier, wasn't a drop from the sky, it wasn't anything. And it's wild to me, I suppose. And I still don't understand how this doesn't happen like every fifth, you know, closeout barrel that somebody's getting sucked over and smashing the reef.
Well, we see way more terrifying wipeouts all the time, and
Yeah.
people aren't hurt. So then
Yeah.
the things like that you see, a lot of people pull into closeouts. So why was that one different? And we
I
don't
know.
know. Who knows?
I know. It's so weird. Like the dice roll on a closeout is seems like, strike rate's pretty good of not getting hurt, but man, that one freak thing where yeah, it's just weird to me. Like pulling into any pipe closeout, I think I pulled into, I would be guaranteed to smash the reef and be in the hospital, if not dead.
I know. Well, I remember Kelly telling a story not that long ago about one of the worst wipeouts of his life was like in the last maybe 6 or 7 years, and it was in Portugal surfing a 4 foot day at a beach break. And I think he hit his head on the bottom, like hard sand, and got disoriented. And then like didn't know where he was, couldn't figure out like where the surface was, and he almost drowned.
Yeah, on a 4 foot sand bottom wave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So keep your eyes and tabs on North Shore this weekend. There's going to be incredible footage coming out of that that'll dwarf Abu Dhabi's content production
I mean,
or
if
output.
they should like WSL should just know they shouldn't do it live. They should have it be a specialty event. It could be a CT event. Who cares? Just don't make people watch this.
Totally agree. By the way, I know didn't report on this, but you are out of Survival League after Pipe.
I'm out, entirely out. Out on the women's, out on the men's. I got smacked and spanked right out the door. And I didn't even, yeah, I feel I went out on, I mean, I was Moana Jones Moana Wong Jones for women. I think that's a solid pick. And I was
Yeah,
Jordy Smith for dudes, which I think was a little unorthodox, but Jordy was ripping out there.
I know. He had a great heat too, and he
Yeah.
still lost
Yeah.
against Joel Vaughn. So I thankfully made it through with Kanoa Igarashi. So I am still in on the men's side. I lost on the women's side with Betty Lou Sakura Johnson, unfortunately, which I thought was a safe pick as well. But I'm still in it with the men, and I picked Italo for the Abu Dhabi event.
Idolo to me, I mean, the only other than impressions of rage and anger and hatred, the only other impression I had yesterday is the real test of Surf Abu Dhabi is is the surfer going to have enough hamstring strength to do his dumb fins thing at the end, right? His
Right.
fun,
Yeah.
like is there enough juice in the legs? Because all those pointless whacks leading up to it, and then is your lactic acid buildup too much, or you find Idolo seems to be the kind of dude who doesn't get tired.
Nobody's legs are more defined than Italo's.
Exactly. So
That's why I picked him.
that's the one thing to base on, I reckon, for the Surf Abu Dhabi.
Well, just like the wave pool is taking over the ocean, AI is coming for you and your job, as we know, as we've covered here many times on the grit. So I've got an email from a listener who said, "Hey, Chaz and David, gnarly algorithm here, dropping in for a barrel or not. Every time I hit up one of my local surf shops for surfboard advice, I get this classic pimply faced kid answering with something like, yeah, that board is sick, and then just pointing me to whatever they need to move off the rack. No reasoning, no follow up, just surface chatter. So, in my quest for actual insight and unbiased advice, I started turning to AI bots for everything from quiver expansion to surf trip scouting. And honestly, the bots bring more to the table than that Grom sling and wax at the register. Here's an example of the efficacy of ChatGPT's board advice. You ready for this?
Yes.
So the prompt that he gave ChatGPT is a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, I'm debating in between two surfboards as potential step ups. And I use the term step ups very loosely because, given my ability and interest, I will not be surfing anything much bigger than an overhead surf. My current quiver consists of a 7.0 Firewire Sunday mid length, a 6.2 Hayden Shapes Hypto Crypto, my everyday surfboard, which I find myself taking out less and less, and then lastly, a 5.8 quad chemistry chem cursive half moon model. I'm 43 years old in fairly good shape and I surf weekly on a weekly basis in Southern California. I want this board to fit in between my Hypto Crypto and my Sunday, and I want to use this board when it gets bigger or when I travel. I'm debating between getting a Channel Islands model M23 6'8" and an Album model Vesper 6.8. Feel free to search the internet if needed for more information or ask me follow-up questions regarding my surfing abilities in order to better determine a recommendation. So that is the prompt that he gave ChatGPT, which is a much more thorough prompt than
Serious
I've ever
prompt.
given. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think actually does the ChatGPT good. They give you a more thorough answer with a more thorough prompt. So this is what they had to say. They said choosing between a Channel Islands M23 and an Album Vesper as a step up board to complement your current quiver involves considering their design features, performance characteristics, and how they align with your surfing goals. Then they listed each surfboard and gave design characteristics of each, which I'm going to save you from reading. And then it gave considerations in bold and it bullet pointed. Wave conditions. Both boards are versatile, but the M23 may offer more control and larger, more powerful waves due to the design lineage and performance orientation. Bold bullet point number 2, performance versus ease. The M23 leads towards a performance hybrid suitable for surfers looking to push their abilities, while the Vesper emphasizes ease of use and speed generation, which might be beneficial in less powerful waves. Number 3, it said current quiver fit. Given your current boards, the 7.0 Firewire and the 6.2 Hayden Shapes and the 5.8 Chemistry, the M23 could offer a performance-oriented step up, filling the gap between your Hypto Crypto and Sunday, while the Vesper, with its user-friendly design, might overlap more with your Sunday. Considering your interests in larger boards, the M23 appears to be a suitable choice, offering performance characteristics that align with your goals. Then it also included an M23 review video. It went on to say why a 6.8 works, and it gave more bullet points with explanations for that. It said, could you go longer or shorter? And then gave bullet points for a 6.6 as well as bullet points for a 7.0. And then it gave a final recommendation and it said, stick with the 6.8. It is right in the middle ground of your quiver and surfing style. It'll give you extra confidence on bigger, steeper waves while being maneuverable and fun. If anything, focus on dialing in the right volume and fin setup more than uh, worrying about the length.
Boom. But do you want to know the big secret here?
What?
If you pull the curtain back, it was Devin Howard sitting on the other end of that query, going through and ending up with you should pick the Channel Islands board. Uh, at the end, we're going to do a real analysis, but at the end, Channel Islands M23 is the board that's going to be right for you.
Well, that might not entirely be wrong because Devin has done such a great job proliferating the internet with marketing material and information, and that's where they're pulling from.
Completely. I
So,
mean, that's
yeah.
as I was reading that, I was thinking, or as you were reading that, all I was thinking is Devon or Channel Islands has done a better job of putting the right words onto the internet that the computer will go find and then spit out.
Which, by the way, is ultimately what our listener would have ended up doing by searching the internet and collecting information and trying to make a decision. You just put it into Chat GPT, it does all of it for you and presents it in an outline.
The hard thing about, I mean, yes, because I think surfboards and surfing and all that, outside of like broad general, like real general categories of like fish, high performance, mid, whatever. If you're comparing those apples to oranges, then I think, okay, where do you surf? What kind of surfing do you like to do, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're comparing oranges to oranges in terms of surfboards, um, there's no way to know, right? Like you can watch a board review, some dude, middle, grade surfer, surf them both and give his opinion, but maybe he's, heavier on the front foot, or maybe he, XYZ. The only way to actually know is to take both boards and surf them for an extended period of time. So really, if you're in the mood for quiver expansion, you should put it down to like the top three boards you want and buy them all.
Yeah. Well, our listener, Gnarly Algorithm, finished the email after providing that link to the Chat GPT and said, the real question now is, will the bot buy the board, take it out for a session, surf better than me? Most likely. LOL. Keep work.
That's the question. That is the question. They could do that at the World Surf League video game Real Surf, where every time that ad like pops up, do you see it ever?
Yeah, I've
Their
seen it.
their video game, just like I suppose they couldn't advance the technology in the 10 years they had from Surf Ranch to Surf Abu Dhabi. They like made such a retrograde video game that like would seem out of date 15 years ago. And I
Yeah.
have zero idea how or why they created this thing and how or why they're pushing it.
Because the video game industry makes more than Hollywood does at this point.
I get that, but have you seen that video game?
No. Oh, I mean,
That
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. It looks terrible. They did a poor job executing. That part
they
isn't surprising that they would
I
not
used to
execute.
I used to play Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer for fun. 25 years ago maybe, on I think it was on the Dreamcast, on the Sega Dreamcast. And that would looked far superior to whatever
Wow.
version the 25 years ago looks better than what the World Surf League has made.
You know what the last surf video game that I played was?
Trans World.
Before that, it was TNC.
Oh yeah, the monkey and stuff.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know if
was
the game was actually called TNC,
it
but the
was.
surfboard. Okay. Yeah, I
It
know
was
the surfboard
TNC.
was a TNC surfboard.
Yeah, it was a TNC, and they had the whatever Thrilla Gorilla or whatever the
Hmm.
TNC mascot, and whoever else you could pick. You could pick. I loved that game. It was a Nintendo game, if I
That
recall.
was such a fun game.
Yeah,
It was between that and Excite Bike was my
yeah,
other favorite one. Excite
yeah.
Bike was so good.
For those early years, my video game, I guess my junior high, high school years, whatever they were, playing a surf video game, I thought was like, this is its core too, right? Like I'm want to be surfing. If I'm not surfing, I'm reading surf magazines. If I'm not reading surf magazines, then I'm playing TNC.
Yep. I know. It was so fun. So a buddy of mine mentioned a while back that now they sell some sort of a console and it's cheap. It's like $100 or something, and it's loaded with Nintendo and all of the Nintendo games of your youth, Sega, all of the Sega games of your youth, PlayStation, all of the like literally all of them in one console for $100.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think at Costco, and even paused in front of it and thought, huh, well, might be
I,
fun. How
I
much?
had that I had that same pause too, and I didn't do it. I
I
didn't
didn't
buy
do
it.
it either. I got kid, or we got kid, I guess. A Nintendo Switch, maybe like 3 Christmases ago, and yeah, like sometimes she'll get on it, but usually it just sits dormant. And where I think kids these days, and maybe these old school games are different, but if a video game is not online interactive, then what's the point in playing? I
Interesting.
think as far as their mentality goes, if you're not playing against, like she would ask me, when she first started getting video gaming or even on the Switch, like, am I playing against real people? And if I was like, no, this is the computer, whatever you're playing against, we'd be like, it would taint it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never, I'm from the era where that wasn't even an option. And so there's
Yeah.
zero appeal. I actually less appeal to do that. I'd rather not play against somebody else.
Completely. I'd rather like the reason I used to play video games as a little brain fry to, rotely like bash the thing against the thing or whatever,
Yeah.
beat the level, da 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 da, where that is not today's youth.
Um, well, have you ever used ChatGPT for anything at all other than playing a game like this?
No, I've never touched it myself. I've never put one word into the prompt.
I'm, I've only done it to experiment basically for this show in segments that we've already aired. Uh, but I'm more and more inclined to actually figure out how to make it work for me.
I mean, the singularity is upon us, right? Like AI has won. And so now the only issue is it's not more, you can't beat them, join them anymore. It's either join them or I guess splinter off and form something else but it won
A
already.
dumber version of
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
Go live in the woods and be not as smart.
Who was,
Um,
yeah. Do you like the fears around who was that? Oh, yeah, the wife was just at some big conference, and one of the speakers was, "You should be afraid. All of you should be very afraid."
well, the pimply face wax slinging kid is losing his job. So,
Yep, he's out,
um,
out.
well, one thing that the ChatGPT cannot help us do is figure out how not to say gay. Don't say
Yeah,
gay. We've got
it's
a new submission this week.
it's everyone's my favorite segment. They don't say gay.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should put this into ChatGPT and see what they
Yeah,
resolve. But the query for us is, hello, I know I can do research on my own and figure this one out, but I guess I'll leave it up to you true experts. This one comes when two or more cars arrive at a four-way stop at the same time and no one wants to go first. I always think, wow, we're having a Mexican standoff. Please discuss Matt in Petaluma.
Mexican almost anything totally works. I feel because Mexicans take ownership of all of it and make it all look good. What's cooler than a Mexican standoff, right? Like Mexican sombrero, what are the bullet? It's not bandolero. What's the bullet thing?
Bolero.
No,
Oh no, no, that
that has a name, whatever it is. The bullet like across your chest, dusty chaps. I mean, everything. Mexican wetsuit, swimming in your jeans and shirt is good.
did you
Like,
just make that one up?
no, you haven't heard of Mexican wetsuit?
No.
Yeah, swimming in your jeans, I think. Well, maybe I accidentally did make it up, but
That's a Southern California thing for sure.
yeah, but like all of it is good. All of it. The Mexicans can do no wrong, to be quite frank.
Um, I like your take on it. So you're keeping Mexican standoff.
Definitely. I mean, I
Okay.
think a Mex like it's a good look, right?
Well,
Like, of course,
yeah,
in usage, but it's still, it even is elevating that stupid everybody's sitting, looking at each other at the stop sign, but it elevates it to an old, Spanish Western.
It adds some gravitas for
Yeah.
sure. Like it's not
Who's gonna
just
blink?
four cars sitting here. It's now got like it's imbued with meaning and threat,
Yes.
consequence. So
Yes.
I agree with you. Like when we analyzed Chinese wax job, the question there was really it's doing something poorly. It's doing the wrong version of something. So does
Yes.
that somehow, diminish the Chinese
Chinese.
community or whatever?
Yes.
This isn't that. This is a
No.
Mexican standoff is better than a regular standoff.
Way
So
better.
there's no reason to cancel this at all.
No, you should try to bring Mexican standoff more into your life. You should make like the being at the counter at the restaurant or at the fast food place. You make that a Mexican standoff. Like you should try to bring more Mexican standoffs into your life. Use it more.
Now I'm going to push back a little bit, or at least open up the question. You said anything that you add Mexican to, it's like a better version because they own it. I'm wondering if that's true. Are all Mexican versions of branded as Mexican versions of things better than the non-Mexican version?
Uh, a Mexican wetsuit is pretty cool. I'm trying to think of another. What's a Mexican? I'm trying to think of other ones. I know that I've heard them.
Hmm.
Uh,
I'm not sure either. Now that I think about it, I don't know.
yeah,
But we're keeping Mexican standoff at
definitely.
least.
And I think a new part of Don't Say Gay, of course, should we not use it anymore or should we keep using it? But I think we should add a third layer. Should we use it more? And I'm going to say Mexican standoff should be used more. We
We're
should
gonna,
push
yeah,
it. Yeah,
I
this is
agree.
a buy stock.
I agree
Yeah.
completely. And now that I think about it, Mexico is so great. Like
Yeah.
Mexico as a vacation place,
Mex
phenomenal. Food's
food,
phenomenal.
architecture,
I mean, the margarita, perhaps the greatest cocktail of all time.
writers, painters, dancers. I mean, Mexico is like, I've long said, if you honestly weighed countries on merits, uh, Mexico could make a case, a strong case for the greatest country on earth.
The um, drug running and like the cartel aspect and the corruption in the government in relation to that really is a black eye.
Or add spice to an already spicy mix.
Definitely add spice, and definitely there's been many, many Mexican standoffs in that exact dynamic,
Yep.
in that drug arena. I mean,
Yep.
they've had so many legitimate Mexican standoffs where both are confronted at the barrel of a gun, and there's no way you can back down.
Imagine the amount of entertainment, and I don't mean to be making light of the many deaths and whatnot that have come about during our drug wars. But that aside, all of the epic movies and television shows that are basically about or heavily feature Mexican drug cartels.
So many.
I mean,
Sicario is like one
yeah,
of the greatest films ever.
that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
an endless amount.
When I was doing that drive across the country a few weeks ago, I went through El Paso, Texas,
Yeah.
and it borders Juarez.
Yeah.
And you see, I mean, it's like miles and miles of the 10 that passes right alongside where you're literally like the university, there's a Texas University on your left that you're driving past, and there's a fence on the right. And on the other side of the fence is the shanty town of Juarez.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, absolutely crazy. Did you have any thought of I should just spin right real quick and go get a taco in a Juarez dive bar and
No,
really, really press the luck?
not even a little bit. But look, I've spent many, many, many years going into Baja and having the taco in the dive bar in TJ and Rosarito and Ensenada and all that sort of stuff. So I have that experience, but Juarez is a very different animal than TJ.
Juarez, I think, is up leveled.
Juarez, yeah, it would win the Mexican standoff with TJ for sure. You got to be a brave soul to go get tacos in Juarez just on a whim.
Yeah.
Um, okay, well, we solved it. Mexican standoff stays and gets increased into our
Yes.
usage. Okay.
Yep.
I'll be using it later this show.
Great.
Um,
You should try to figure out a way to use it in when you tell your wife that you love her. You
mm,
could say, "We're in a Mexican standoff of love."
whoever looks away first loses.
Yeah. I mean,
Man,
you're gonna win the Mexican standoff though when you gift her and she's just sitting there looking at you.
that's true. The internet
Yep.
will see when I post that tonight. Um, all right, weekend vans, weekendvans.com, sprinter vans for one and for all, not just the wealthy, but you can rent a weekend vans if you want at weekendvans.com.
I can't believe we didn't push this harder ahead of Valentine's Day. I can't imagine a thing more romantic maybe than getting a weekend van because you can rent them. You don't have to buy to own yet. You can rent and test it out. Renting a weekend van, going and picking up your significant other, and going on a romantic drive that ends with the both of you in one of the two weekend vans ample beds.
Mike at Weekend Vans, you might want to get a pressure washer for the weekend van after this advertisement because I never thought about how many people have used the weekend vans, and I'll use used in quotes. But now that you think about that, definitely
Runs. Just think pulling that weekend van up to a bluff overlooking a vista sunset. You have a bottle of wine, you have your charcuterie board there that had just been shipped in. Uh, and bada bing, bada boom, if you know what I'm talking about.
I do indeed. Well, the Weekend Vans business report slash gossip column in Surf News this week, quote, Wave Garden surf tubs revealed to be wildly profitable in new industry report, end quote.
Yeah, apparently
Say
it's
more.
true. Apparently, I mean, this industry report was Amusement Today, I think, or to yeah, it must have been Amusement Today. It seemed like a new, trade newsletter for the amusement park industry. And it seems like Wave Pool or Wave Gardens are the one that who actually figured out the model, unlike Kelly Slater stuff.
Um, so did it reveal the level of profitability? Did it give you numbers?
It said 20%. So I don't know what that means, but it said these things run at a 20%, you know, I've I don't know if that's net or whatever, but they're making 20% money.
Funny. Well, that's good news for those of our friends who are investors in wave pools because look, the jury's been out for a period of time. I haven't seen any reports on profitability.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if I mean it feels like Wave Garden. There was a lot of reasons that Wave it wasn't just Wave pools are profitable. It's Wave Garden is. I think
Right.
they figured out low energy cost, maximizing the amount of people you can get in the pool, at one time. Uh, all of the stuff around a Wave Garden makes them profitable. And so this report also said that Wave Garden, those who own a Wave Garden, uh, are actively everybody's trying to double their investment in it to make
Interesting.
another facility somewhere else.
So, like I said, I have friends who have invested at various levels in various technologies and properties as it relates to wave pools. And my question was always, it feels like an arms race, and I'm not sure if the most successful one might not even, you know, develop, might never be profitable. These things may never like find traction. But below that, there is an arms race of which one will be. So if you're investing in one technology, but the KS Waveco wins the technology war, then all the other ones go away. Not all of them. Among the five different technologies, I have a feeling one or two is going to shake out at the top, and that will
Yeah.
be the one that takes off. But I'm not even convinced that that will get traction. So it feels like such a very risky bet, but hopefully, I mean, for the people who are investing money, obviously, hopefully you want to see a return on that because it could be a windfall. It could be the ultimate investment ultimately.
I mean, it feels like Wave Gardens really hit the cool technology that won is the one that is built for basically soft top experiences, right? That you have also you can make it uh more high performance and all of this kind of stuff, but your real core person you want to pack that pool with 90 people, right? You want them kind of having their first surf lesson thing, blah blah. Maybe you want them to come back and graduate up to the where Wave Garden I think has that all built in. I think the Waco's Waco the yeah, Waco, and the Palm Springs, and the Loch Techs and all these, I think are great and will work in individual communities. But I think Wave Garden is the one that has figured out the scale.
It's crazy. I would have never bet on Wave Garden.
I mean, I just think that the Kelly pool, like when you look at it, I mean, yeah, it's fun to surf, but for a top percentage surfer, kind of like, yes, you can have Lady Gaga and whatever surfing there, but you legitimately need Raymana van Bastelar to guide you into a wave there, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like you have to be to catch a wave, and you've surfed it too. To catch a wave at Surf Ranch, you have to be an intermediate surfer.
yeah,
And so to make something for the intermediate surfer is just never, there's not enough intermediate surfers out there.
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Well, story number two, quote, Insider declares Huntington Beach current favorite to host Los Angeles 2028 Olympic surfing exclamation point.
It's true. And I think it probably does stand to reason, to be quite frank. It's so, what's his dude? Aguirre, Fernando, the ISA president, has gone on record to say no tank. And I think everybody is feeling very relieved about that today, having watched the Surf Abu Dhabi Pro. So no tank, which leaves us with basically Trestles or Huntington have been publicly identified, I think even by Fernando himself, as these are kind of the two we're looking at. And my source tells me that the problem with Trestles is is that there's not enough place to make basically space to make an Olympic village down there, right? So for WSL Finals Day or even in past CT competitions at lowers, the amount of people coming in is not, Trestles can handle that. The amount of people potentially coming in for an Olympic event, people just wanting to looky loop, the mass amount of people that come to LA for this thing and think, ooh, let's go do the surfing thing, that Trestles just won't be able to handle that flow.
Well, that's a bummer.
I mean, what it's going to be an awful Olympics, but that'll be funny enough, I suppose. Why? I mean, Huntington Hop Olympic stuff, especially after Chopu. I mean, I suppose for Olympic surfing, they really want this in, they want the hook set. And so started in Japan where it was awful surf, but the novelty of it kind of made a story. Then you go to Chopu, where now this is like a centerpiece of the Paris Games, I feel, right? The
Yeah.
image, of course, of Gabriel Medina going viral. That one good day is sort of all you needed. Now you're going to Huntington, which is going to sap any kind of viewer interest, I think. But I would imagine that the ticket sales for that thing, and especially if it's at Huntington, the people that will go in to that surf experience will be one of the biggest ticket uh, sales of all the Olympics, right? The venue is huge. Like you can make it basically as big as you want. If you're going to charge admission from the parking lot to the pier to the beach to all of it, I mean, you could pack in what, 100,000 people down there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other Olympic event is going to even has a venue that can hold 100,000 people? So, and
And
then, so I
all the
think,
restaurants and hotels
well,
support and all that stuff.
so I think the hook is set. And then of course, Olympics are going to see surfing, whether it's good or not on screen, are going to see surfing as a revenue generator. And I think its place in the games is probably set for the foreseeable future. I mean, because
Crazy.
obviously it's going to, 28 LA and then it's 32 Brisbane, which surfing will of course be a part then. I don't know where the games are after that.
As a town, as a like they do so much to shoot themselves in the foot. Like their political positions, or I mean, aside politics aside, just the way that they speak about their position is really
Did you
um,
did
crazy
you
and offensive.
did
And
you see
then
yesterday their MAGA plaque?
I saw you wrote an article about it, but I did not see it.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, it's just a troll, right? But it's Huntington Beach City Council voted for a new plaque for the library that says celebrating 50 years of something, something, something. And then in down below, it just says MAGA and it's magical,
Oh,
alluring, great adventure or something like that.
right.
Yeah, but
So
it
that
just
makes my point for me.
yeah, celebrating
Plus,
50 years of MAGA. That's what they spend their time. That's what the city council spends its time, energy, and money doing is basically a meme.
right,
Uh, a meme that they're going to put on their library.
exactly. So again, agnostic of actual political position, the way that they do it and
Yeah.
promote their thing is the part that is just like, what are you guys, high schoolers? Like this
I
is
mean,
embarrassing,
I think
right? And
they're
then
junior hire.
yeah, exactly. And then the riots and all of the crime and all of the stuff, the mismanagement on that level, they just they are the hot blonde chick in high school that everybody wants to be with, regardless of how repulsive her behavior is. Like that's what they are. And everybody just continues to show up. And the Olympics are like, let me pay, like, please let me come participate. And then she'll do something just abhorrent. And everybody's still like, can I get in line next for a
Yes.
date, pretty please? That's literally what happens.
It's weird that Huntington, of all places, is the one that grabbed all this. Like that it wasn't, I mean, I know Newport is like wealthier and whatever, but that Newport didn't isn't like, hey man, we'll do this, right? We could throw them at the wedge for pity's sake. We can have Olympic surfing at the wedge. Uh and we have space, it's not like as much crappy space as Huntington, but we can figure this out. But nobody else is even it's only Huntington raising their hand or only Huntington as this, it's not Orange County. It's just Huntington Beach.
Well, I think Newport doesn't want it. Like everybody
Yeah.
else, Malibu doesn't want it. Like those other cities are like, look, we make our money off all this real estate
Yeah.
income and tax. Like as soon as we start inviting uh what the inlanders to come and party here until 2 a.m. and get drunk and vomit and then riot out in the streets, our real estate prices are going to drop. So let's just really focus on what we do best. We don't need the US Open here.
Very funny.
So, anyways, well, good. Bad news, but whatever. Thanks for
Yeah.
reporting it. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing the hot rumor.
Yeah.
All right, well, good work. Let's go to commercial break, take a rest from 90 minutes of this, and then we will be back with Barrel or Not. FanDuel.com/surf. When the games tip off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting and the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/surf to join today. That's FanDuel.com/surf for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 and older and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, Chaz, welcome back from commercial break.
I think the nighttime version of the Surf Abu Dhabi Pro must have stopped as soon as I posted.
Yeah, it finished 45 minutes ago.
Man, yeah, it's hilarious. I'm curious about this real quick before we get into Barrel now, how much disservice it does to the product itself, where if they had free surfing out there, just like did a showcase or something, then people could say, whoa, look at how fun that wave looks. I think when you look at it in this competition, I can't imagine anybody's focusing on, look at how fun that wave looks. I would like to go surf it. They're looking at it and saying, I hate this so bad.
I know. It really stirs up ire from all
Yeah.
angles. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
Um, Also, real missed opportunity. Abu Dhabi after dark. They could have done like something nude,
I
something
mean,
sexy.
they couldn't have. It's Abu Dhabi,
That's
but
true.
they could have at least shot like lasers or something at it.
um, Before we go to barrel or not, we got a kind of a tools to live by, actually, from a listener. It's a quick one. He says, "Hey, B and B," which it confused me for like 5 minutes, and then I
Beavis
realized
and
Beavis and
Butthead.
Butthead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, B and B. I sometimes find myself driving home or driving people home who are going to do work at my house. Let's say a maid or a plumber. I live far from the town, and that's the easiest way for them to get here. So I might be listening to the grit on the way to pick them up. But then when they get in the car, should I keep listening or should I turn it off and bear the awkward silence all the way to my home? Saludos.
Oh, this is a tough one. How racy do we get on the grit? How offensive do we get?
You never know when it's going to get racy or
I
offensive. That's the thing. We could be talking about something benign, and then all of a sudden,
offend. Uh,
nighttime after dark Abu Dhabi.
you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say that my best advice here, my tool to live by is turn it off and just sit in silence. Just sit in that awkward silence because man, you could get poor work done on your place if plumber or someone is sitting there and get offended. This is going to directly affect. It's not just funny. It's not just a haha. Listen to these guys. Unless you want to use us as a I can't believe this. If you see the offense, because then maybe you're gonna get I'm gonna change. I'm gonna say leave it on. And when we offend, but if you leave it on, you have to be very aware of reaction. Keep them out of the corner of your eye. If you see them getting slightly offended, pile on. Say, I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. I have never heard such filth. I have never heard such demeaning, derogatory talk come from two. I don't even know who these guys are. Turn it off.
How,
Better work.
how dare they
Yeah.
propagate the use of Mexican standoff?
Yes, exactly.
See, I don't like it. Like, I want to promote as much listening time to our podcast as possible. However, um, the things that the podcast that I like listening to, if somebody gets in the car and we go somewhere and then that automatically comes on, I immediately pause it because I was engaged in that podcast and I'm only midway through and I want to continue to be engaged. But now I have this social obligation of a person sitting here. They're going to want to talk. Or something maybe does come up on the podcast that is controversial or maybe just funny or interesting and you want to riff on that. You're still not listening to the podcast at that point. The podcast is something that I do in silence, like, or that I do in singular, like by myself, you know?
Solitary podcasting.
Exactly. Kind of like when we talk about, I'd rather watch a movie by myself, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't need to do a download on what's going on all the time with whoever I'm watching with. So I think the solitary experience. Now, the other thing, the thing that is best shared with a travel partner is music. So plan on a little playlist for your maid when you pick her up.
Here though, what if though you put the carpenter in the back seat and then you can still listen to the podcast? At this point now, there is no engagement, right? There is a service and being traded. Hop on in, open the back door, crank up the podcast. You're not there for them. They're not there for you. This is an exchange.
They're listening in isolation and you're listening in isolation.
Precisely. They're forced to listen. Because when I get into a taxi, or I guess an Uber, and the driver has radio on, sports radio, talk radio, whatever radio. I'm in the back seat. I'm listening. I'm or not, right? I know he's
You
engaged.
became a part of that person's world in that moment.
Sure, but that's full. I'm fully fine with that because I'm in the back seat, so I don't have to be. If I'm sitting next to him, then we're both listening. Then I gotta when somebody says something, like whoever, Manny Machado is gonna looking good to have a strong year. Then I gotta look over at the dude and like, yeah, he was looking pretty good in spring training or whatever. Like now I'm forced to engage if we're shoulder to shoulder. If I'm backseat, I don't gotta say nothing.
You make a fantastic point. The concern that I had here was you're really treating this person like a worker at that point. You're like, but if
Your
they're in the
boat's
back seat,
your
you're
boat's right.
actually,
Yeah,
yeah, if
you're
they're in the
you're the
back
rich
seat,
one.
you're actually treating them like a guest. That is like an elevated position. I am now your driver.
I'm the
You're gonna,
driver.
yeah,
You are the important one here.
keep a chauffeur's hat on your front
Yeah,
seat just for this occasion. And
absolutely.
when you show up to pick them up, get out of the car, put your hat on, get out of the car, go around, open the door for them, say, Please join me. They get in the car, they're entering your world, and they feel good about it.
Have the middle seat rest thing down, a bottle of water in there, and a maybe pack of gum or some mints or a little treat.
Just give them a selection.
Yeah,
Give
all of
them
it.
five options to pick
Yeah,
from. I think
man,
they would be delighted not only to do their best job at your house, but to listen to the grit.
we solved this one. That was some tool to live by work. Thank you, Bear.
That was some like gymnastic
Yeah,
maneuvering that we had to do to come to that conclusion. I'll put the credit on you. You nailed that one.
I mean, he just, it's the way to do.
Well done. Okay. Now we've got a barrel or gnaw coming in from New Zealand, I believe. So let's go ahead and listen to this one.
Kia ora, James here from New Zealand with a quick barrel or nah. Now, I'm about to cook my family a barbecue. I'm the only one at home. It's really sunny and I've been working all day. I'm thinking about having a beer by myself while I'm cooking the barbecue. Does that mean I've got a drinking problem or is that completely normal? Barrel or nah?
It's an obvious barrel, and we can get more on that if you'd like. But B, I want this dude I want to send the podcast to this dude, have this dude be me on the podcast. I want him to restate everything I say in his accent, in his voice. And that's what I want.
I agree. Great voice.
Yeah, perfect
Um,
voice.
so you said it's obviously barrel. I only played it because I was so aghast at the suggestion that drinking one beer while you're barbecuing would somehow be misconstrued as alcoholism.
I'm going to say make drinking alone great again. We should do a Madagaga something. Uh, but don't get drunk. If you're getting drunk alone, that's the problem. Having a beer or three while you're barbecuing, waiting for people to come over is a zero problem.
I, you know, I don't even think getting drunk alone is necessarily a problem. That can absolutely lead to problems.
Sure.
But
It's
I'm
not a problem in
just,
and of itself.
it's not a problem in and of itself. I'm like, what could be more enjoyable than barbecuing in the sun and drinking a beer? Who
Yeah.
cares how many people are there? That has nothing to do with anything. The definition that I find most appropriate for alcoholism, I'm no doctor, is consequence. If your drinking leads to consequence and you continue to do it, definitely time to stop.
Yes.
If your wife left you, if your kids hate you, if you lost your job repeatedly, you know what I mean? Like any of the above or any version of, yeah, definitely check yourself. But a afternoon barbecue in the sun sounds delightful to me.
On the way, James. Booking my ticket to NZ.
I know, yeah. You don't also you shouldn't be there alone. Like
Yeah.
you
Well,
can
we'll
do
come.
this. Yeah,
We'll drink
exactly.
beers with
We'll
you.
come hang out with you.
Yeah.
Enjoy that beer guilt-free. The fact
That's
that he had any consternation at all made me sad for him.
But it also makes me want to hire James again to be my voice, but for a lot of other things. James is for sure a stand-up dude.
Totally agree. Thank you, James. Barrel or Non number two came from Kanoa Igarashi's post-heat interview today, referring to a wave that you just surfed as a quote run.
I'm gonna say barrel when it comes to surfing a wave at one of Kelly Slater's facilities because it's not actually surfing, it is a run.
I
Like,
just got done with my run and I feel pretty good about my run. I
yes,
did a good turn on my run. It was a pretty
yes,
decent barrel section on that run.
that's a better description of what's happening than on when I was surfing.
So the question is, does this start to proliferate mainstream surf culture?
No, because you can't like this is the beauty of the ocean versus the tub, right? Is you can never look at the ocean and you couldn't even make the words come out of your mouth of like, man, that Baron Mamiya on his last run, he like crushed that, right? That was such a sick run that he had. You couldn't even say it.
Right.
You could not bring yourself to say it, but it makes perfect sense. And differentiating pool surfing from real surfing is something we need to do a better job of like saying, okay, this thing exists, sure, whatever. It is what it is. It's an entirely, it's to ocean surfing, you know, what I guess skiing is to not even snowboarding because it's even more different than that.
No, but they have those fake snow mountains
Yeah, but you
indoors in some places. That's kind of an equivalent.
no, but I think it's it's a different thing entirely because at least on a one of those, like I've ski Dubai, to be quite frank, and it feels just like being on a mountain, right? It's snow, you're going downhill, whereas that plow making the wave come that you're paddling to, none of that feels real.
Yeah. Okay. Well, barrel. Refer to
Yeah,
your wave just
barrel.
surfed as a run if you're
As
in
long as you're in a surf tank.
a KS Waveco one
Yeah, KS Waveco surf tank.
because it's that predictable.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Final. I did not anticipate that being a barrel, but final barrel or nah, also coming from a listener.
David and Chaz, Kevin from Ventura calling in with a barrel or nah. So with PCH being closed, been spending about 3 hours round trip a day commuting. With that, seen a lot more cars on the road. And the second time in a week, I've seen European cars with their California plates, but they leave the European plate on. I'm thinking this is nothing more than a flex of like, hey, check me out, I'm from Europe. Don't think there's any practical use to that. So my question is barrel or nah, keeping your European plates on a car that's U.S. based. Keep or do barrel.
So I've seen this before and it did stick out to me as odd, but I never committed it to memory for discussion or anything like that. And so I'm so glad he brought this up.
It's absolutely, sometimes I think, in these almost 10 years that we've been doing the grit, we've talked about everything.
Right, right.
We can start back again and we can redo it. We've been doing it long enough now where people forgot, and so we can go back over everything. But then, what was this dear listener's name?
Kevin in Ventura.
Evan and Ventura calls with something I've seen and considered deeply in my own brain without ever speaking to another living person about it. It is absolutely no barrel. It is a stupid flex. It's either I bought my car in Europe or I am European. But I think it's specifically I bought my car in Europe and brought it over, right? Because why? It's not like you brought your European plates over from Europe to put on the car you bought in America. So whether you're American or European, I ship my car is the flex, right?
This, yes. And this, to be clear, for those who don't know, the Euro plates are uh, long,
Yeah.
horizontally long and short. They're shorter in height and long. And people will just take they register their car here in California and they'll take their California plate and just stick it over the European plate, which makes me think, okay, well, no, they would be different holes. But anyways, they stick it over the European plate. So you can see the European, it would be like having an
Sticking
8-inch
out.
hot dog and a 6-inch bun, basically,
Yep.
where the two ends are sticking out underneath. And I've seen this a dozen times in my life and just was always confused. And I was like, well, maybe they didn't have the right wrench to take off the bolts from the Euro plate or whatever. Had no idea why somebody would even consider doing this.
I mean, the other flex also is that I think, and this is probably people buying the European plate to put on their European car, but is putting the European plate on the front and then having your regular license plate on the back, just to let everybody know either I'm European or my car is European or something. All of them, any iteration of this is an absolutely juvenile flex. It is like anyone doing this should be above it. There's no one like we could debate the merits of a vanity plate, right? I think we have. We could debate the merits of bumper stickers. We could debate the merits of hood ornaments, rear view mirror hangers. We could do, and there could be, an argument for and against. This one, there's only argument against. You are
Yeah.
juvenile and you've got to figure out your flex better.
This is somehow more reveals more about the driver
Yep.
than the bumper sticker that actually has a statement on it,
Yep.
or the vanity plate that actually has a statement that is an intentional reveal of something. This somehow reveals more.
This says that you, and every one of them says this, you are insecure, but trying not to be.
Exactly. Wow.
Boom.
Man, somebody right now is listening to this like with deep, deep shame going to get the wrench out of their toolbox.
You know who it is. It's the plumber in the back seat of what's his name's car, who's just sitting there thinking, damn you, my BMW back home with its Wolfsburg plate. I've got to go take this thing off now.
For the record, I think that listener, he's emailed in the past. I think it's he's in the Canary Islands.
Okay, sweet.
If you were wondering where would he live out of town where he has to pick
Yeah.
somebody up and why did he sign off with saludos? Um, so by the way, remember I was telling you about that ratcheting tool?
Yes.
This is what it is.
There
For
she
ratcheting
is.
for your
Surfboard key
your surfboard
or
key,
fin key.
The Allen wrench. You just put it in there and just
Tick, tick, tick.
boom, boom, boom.
It seems like a lot of
Super
extra
simple.
weight on a trip, though.
It's not that much weight. I mean, whatever. Maybe don't bring it on a surf trip if you don't want, but keep it in the back of your car.
Okay.
It's just so much better. The fin key is so tiny in your hand, you know what I mean? Like, and then if it's tight, it's like putting pressure on a weird part of your finger.
It's
This thing's
true.
just, it just is just better. So
Sold.
10
Valentine's.
bucks, 10 bucks.
Get yourself a Valentine's Day gift.
Get yourself a ratcheting fin key. If you didn't listen to Noble Rot, I think it was.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe it was on here last week now that I think about it.
You never know these days.
Nope. It all blends together in my head. Okay. Well, hey, man, enjoy Valentine's Day solo. Do you have the kid?
I do. I have the kid. The kid and I have some errands to do, so that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be it pretty much. Running
Good, man.
errands on Valentine's.
Good. Enjoy.
I'm going to be spending most of my time just waiting for CJ Hobgood to post to his wife.
Yep. I will let you know how it goes tonight when I reveal the gift and
Can't wait.
receive nothing on my own.
Cannot wait.
All right. Well, until Monday on Noble Rot,
Keep work.
leave it to the keep work guy.
Sweet.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.